السلام علیکم، میں ہوں منیزہ جہانگیر اور آپ دیکھ رہے ہیں پروگرام سپاٹ لائٹ۔ ناظرین، 1971 کے بعد سے بنگلہ دیش میں پچھلے 3 دنوں میں سب سے زیادہ قتل و غارت ہوئی ہے۔ حسینہ واجد کے خلاف مظاہروں کے دوران کم از کم 432 افراد ہلاک ہو چکے ہیں۔ اقلیتوں کی ایک تنظیم کے مطابق اب تک 200 سے 300 سے زیادہ ہندوؤں کے گھروں اور کاروباروں کو تباہ کیا گیا ہے اور 20 مندر مسمار ہو چکے ہیں۔ اس وقت ڈھاکہ میں ٹریفک معمول سے چل رہی ہے، لیکن سڑکیں طلبہ نے سنبھالی ہوئی ہیں۔ شیخ حسینہ کی جماعت عوامی لیگ کے رہنماؤں کے گھروں اور دفتروں کو مظاہرین آگ لگا کر تباہ کر رہے ہیں اور اس کی تمام اہم قیادت جو ہے وہ غائب ہو چکی ہے۔ بنگلہ دیشی میڈیا پروتھم آلو کے مطابق حسینہ واجد اقتدار چھوڑنے سے چند گھنٹے قبل بھی پارٹی اور سیکیورٹی فورسز کو مظاہرین کے خلاف سخت ترین کریک ڈاؤن کا حکم دے رہی تھیں، لیکن جب یہ واضح کیا گیا کہ سیکیورٹی فورسز مظاہرین کو روک نہیں پائیں گے اور کچھ ہی گھنٹوں میں وہ شیخ حسینہ کے گھر تک پہنچ جائیں گے، تو تب انہوں نے استعفیٰ دینے کے علاوہ جو ہے انہوں نے کوئی آپشن نہیں چنا۔ تب شیخ حسینہ جو ہے اپنے بیٹے سے، جن کا نام سجیب وزید ہے، ان کے کہنے پر ہی بنگلہ دیش اور حکومت چھوڑنے کو تیار ہوئیں۔ سجیب وزید کے مطابق ان کی والدہ اپنی اقتدار سے رخصتی پر دکھی ہیں اور اب دوبارہ سیاست میں نہیں آئیں گی۔
Very, very disappointed. She's very disheartened that after all that she has done for the country, that this vocal minority moved against her and wanted her out. She has turned the country from a poor country, a failing country, a corrupt country into a success story, a rising Asian tiger. She has contained militants. She has improved the lives of people. And we've all worked very hard to bring that about. And so she's very disheartened, and she told me that we are done with politics. This was going to be her last term anyway. She's 77 and she's retired.
شیخ حسینہ کے جو بیٹے ہیں جو اس وقت ملک سے باہر ہیں، بنگلہ دیش سے باہر، آپ ان کی بات سن رہے تھے۔ ناظرین، انڈیا کے وزیر خارجہ جے شنکر نے ایک بیان میں کہا ہے کہ بنگلہ دیش کے حالات میں بیرونی ہاتھ کے ملوث ہونے کے امکان کو نہیں کیا جا سکتا۔ تو دوسری جانب پاکستان کے دفتر خارجہ نے ایک بیان میں کہا ہے کہ پاکستان کی حکومت اور عوام بنگلہ دیش کے عوام کے ساتھ ہر مشکل وقت میں کھڑی ہے اور اس بات کے لیے پرامید ہے کہ بنگلہ دیش میں حالات جلد معمول پر آ جائیں گے۔ پاکستان کے وزیر اطلاعات عطا تار نے بھی دفتر خارجہ کے بیان کی تائید کی ہے۔
پاکستانی حکومت اور پاکستانی عوام بنگلہ دیش کے عوام کے ساتھ کھڑے ہیں اور ہم اس کو سراہتے ہیں کہ بنگلہ دیش کے لوگوں نے جو ایک ریزیلینس دکھائی ہے، ایک عزم دکھایا ہے، حوصلہ کیا ہے، ایک ہمت دکھائی ہے، وہ باہر نکلے ہیں۔ یہ بالکل ایک سراہنے والی بات ہے۔
عطا طاہر صاحب بات کر رہے تھے۔ تو ناظرین، ہندوستان میں موجود شیخ حسینہ کی اگلی منزل کا تعین ابھی تک نہیں ہو سکا اور نہ ہی بنگلہ دیش کی سمت کا تعین ہو پا رہا ہے۔ کیا وہاں اب دوبارہ جلد انتخابات ممکن ہو سکیں گے؟ اور کیا یہ جمہوریت کے لیے صحیح ہے کہ طلبہ اب بنگلہ دیش کی سیاست کو ڈکٹیٹ کر رہے ہیں؟ ان سوالوں کا جواب لینے کے لیے ہم نے ڈھاکہ سے دعوت دی ہے شاہد العالم صاحب کو، جو سینئر بنگلہ دیشی انعام یافتہ صحافی ہیں۔ بہت بہت شکریہ، تھینک یو سو مچ شاہد العالم صاحب۔ آئی نو یو آر این اوارڈ وننگ جرنلسٹ، تھینک یو سو مچ فار جوائننگ اس ٹوڈے آن آور شو۔ اور ڈھاکہ سے یہ ہمیں جوائن کر رہی ہیں خوشی کبیر صاحبہ، سماجی رہنما ہیں بنگلہ دیش کی اور بنگلہ دیش میں اقلیتوں کے حقوق کے لیے ایک مضبوط آواز ہیں۔ تھینک یو سو مچ for joining us, Khushi Kabir as well. My first question to you, Shahidul Islam Saab, that basically Shahidul Alam Saab, that Sheikh Hasina is now gone. So what is the future now for Bangladesh? Is there going to be the interim government for long, or you think that there are going to be elections fairly soon?
Certainly we would aspire to have elections as quickly as practicable, but this is an unexpected situation. I mean, Hasina had entrenched herself so well into the system. I mean, she had complete control of the military, of the judiciary, of the bureaucracy, of the police. We were frankly very surprised that it happened as quickly as it did. Let me just describe the practical aspects. We were walking towards the big protest, braving curfew on the 4th, on the 5th, and we were being shot at. So 3 of our group got bullet wounds. We put them in hospital. We then tried to find a way round to Shahbag where it was happening. This would have been about 20 minutes. And by the time we arrived at Shahbag, people were celebrating. It was as sudden as that. So obviously, we were not prepared in that same way. And a transition of this sort is not easy. It needs to be managed. At the moment, one of the problems we have is that we do not have a head of government right now. Professor Yunus who has been selected as their new head of government, will be arriving tomorrow at 10 past 2. And hopefully he will take over very, very quickly. But there's a whole lot of other things to do. The fact is, as soon as it happened, so many of the people who were part of the tyrant's regime have now gone underground. And while we're happy to get rid of them, the fact that we now have a vacuum in administration is something that needs to be managed. And now it's very important that we manage this transition peacefully, without violence, without retribution. And those are difficult things to do. But having said that, I think what the students have already done is quite admirable. I was yesterday coming in and I looked at the roads being well managed, none of the chaos we usually used to. And the students have been making very responsible statements about maintaining law and order, about not taking revenge, about working constructively towards nation building. If we can follow it through, that'll be fantastic. But I don't think we're in an illusion. This is a difficult period which needs to be well managed.
So from what you're saying, it's still very unclear what's going to happen next. And I think that is the real big question. But what you have described is the kind of violence that Sheikh Hasina's rule had inflicted, especially on your colleagues and you. I know that you personally suffered during Sheikh Hasina's rule. Khushi Kabir, coming to you, you have always spoken for the rights of the minorities. What state is the minorities is now? Because we are getting reports that temples have been attacked, Hindu temples have been attacked, that Hindu businesses and properties have been attacked. What is happening in Bangladesh on the streets at the moment?
So I think when Shahidul mentioned that there's a sort of a lapse now, a gap. I wouldn't say lapse, it's a gap. There is a total lack of a presence and in the field, and especially in the villages and even in the towns. So this has led to attack on people who are perceived to be Awami Leaguers. It's not uniform everywhere, but it is happening, and there's a fear. It has been on minorities, not just Hindu minorities, Christian minorities, Ahmadiyyas, others who are more marginalized, indigenous communities in the northern plainlands who are very poor. So there have been these sporadic attacks and violence and arson. And in Dhaka itself, on the day immediately after the army general mentioned that he's taking over, we didn't see that his taking over really meant, because there was total, and there is, at a time like this when then suddenly people have been on the streets, they've been shot at, over 300, and that's supposed to be a conservative estimate, have been shot within this 1 month. And so many people are injured. So many people have been picked up from their homes. There was a total fear. So suddenly when there's this release, there's bound to be a mob lynching and attack. And I don't see, which is something that the army should have done, is being in control over certain places, especially like our parliament building. And they were not there. So there was a lot of lawlessness, which still continues. Even today, I'm getting news from different places. So it is not, the narrative is being given is just the Hindus. It's not the Hindus. It's all very...
It's general chaos. It's general chaos,
especially with the marginalized communities who will not be able to fight back. So there's fear. Last night, all over Mohammadpur, there was ransacking, looting.
But Khushi Kabir, allow me to ask you, from what you're saying is that it appears that the army has been unable to control the rioting.
I won't say unable. I don't see their presence on the streets at all.
And you're concerned about that. Shahidul Alam Saab.
Well, I'm not concerned about the army not being there. I'm concerned about the lawlessness. That's all.
Right.
If they were not there, the lawlessness, I wouldn't have had any problems.
Yes. Shahidul Alam Saab, why is it that the army is not out on the streets? Is it because they don't want to be seen to be stopping the protesters? And now what will be the army's role in this new dispensation, which is going to be led by Muhammad Yunus?
Well, I'd like to go back a little bit. In a sense, for me, the euphoria was certainly the most dominant feeling. I mean, I have not seen people celebrating like this since 1971, since we became independent from Pakistan. So that was a huge thing. And this tyrant has been there for a very, very long time and has done some very, very bad things. There are a huge number of people who have extreme anger at what has happened, and this is a pent-up anger which is now being released. That is not unexpected. The fact that we do not suddenly have, because there was not that smooth transition which should have taken place, and that the tyrant was allowed to escape to India was part of the problem. Had there been a smooth transition, I think this might not have been quite the same. But yes, it is true that there is that level of lawlessness that people have talked about. Professor Yunus is coming in tomorrow. He will take oath. We will have a government in place. We will then have a cabinet in place. Also, what has happened is a lot of the people at the top of the state institutions have gone underground. So you have a lot of state institutions which are currently headless. So they're not being able to perform. A lot of police.
But allow me to ask you that the government that will be led by Professor Muhammad Yunus, is it going to be there for a long time, do you think? And is there, will there be an acceptability of it if it's there for a long time? Or are you seeing elections coming up very soon, that the people will want elections?
The aspiration is that there be elections. I mean, of course, we want an elected democratic government. We also do not want a return to the dynasty politics that has plagued our country for so long. So this is a sea change we are after. But,
right.
I mean, to be practical, an election and setting up a government is not something that you do just by pressing a tap. That process has to begin. For an election to take place, there is a period preceding the election, and I think that have to be done. So I'm not really sure what time that mechanism will take. I'm hopeful that it will happen quickly, and we certainly do not want a caretaker government to stay any longer than it absolutely has to in order to have that smooth transition.
All right. Khushi
that
Kabir,
is what
right.
it's after, but
right.
At the end of the day, first we have to prevent what we were talking about, the lawlessness. We have to ensure trust. We have to ensure stability.
Right.
And alongside that, do all the other things that need to happen.
Khushi Kabir, do you agree? Is there a desire to have the caretaker government stay for longer amongst the people, or do they want a quick election? And what will these elections mean? Does it mean that the Awami League will be able to participate in these elections?
Okay, that's a very critical question.
Sorry, go on, Khalid.
Yes, Khushi.
Khushi, off to you.
It's a very critical question, and I thank you for asking this question. But first, I'd like to say that, for us, what was troubling is we can understand when the looting and the attack and the arson is against the people who are with the Awami League. But when it's with the marginalized and the poorest communities in the villages, the ones who are the most vulnerable, that's when my question gets, I raise that question as to, there should be someone. The army said they're in control, so they're obviously not. Now we are happy that there's going to be a government,
right?
A caretaker government. They're calling it
interim
government. So they're calling it an interim government, and I think Dr. Yunus has the respect of most people. He's run institutions. He's somebody who people respect, but also he has been a member of advisor of a caretaker government in 1996. At that time, he has not just the experience of running a huge institution, which he has. It's a huge institution, the whole Grameen and the Yunus Center, etc. But he also has had experience with the government that only, even if that was for 3 months. Now, to answer to your question is, I think people are relieved and they want this government to be formed as fast as possible, because no one wants the kind of lawlessness that is going on. We cannot reach the army and say that this is what is happening, we want your intervention. When people call us and tell us this is what is happening and we want to call, we don't have anyone to call to. So I just will say that the sooner the caretaker government comes into power, it's good. Then they, of course, have this whole thing of trying to take control of what is happening, keeping the administration and the government going.
But what about the Awami League? Will they be allowed to take part in the elections?
I doubt they will take part in the elections. I don't know. It depends on very much on how the caretaker government handles the situation. At the current situation, I don't see them taking part.
Right.
They're all undercover. But I would just say one thing, is that in 1990, when there was a big movement or the overthrow of Ershad, General Ershad, the dictator, after 8 years, there was a smooth transition and takeover, because there was a system in place where there was not this kind of rioting and looting and burning and arson. So I hope once the caretaker is taken over, because Ershad gave it, when he left, it was a caretaker government. There was no army. So now we would not like the army to be in place, because we've seen the army when Ershad came into power, when General Zia came into power, they stayed on for years. They stayed on for years, even they were supposed to be there for 6 months. So we do hope that this is a civilian caretaker government. It's not run by the army. The army is not heading it. There's no martial law in the country.
Right.
So we sincerely hope, and because the students have been in the movement and it's the students who were in the forefront, we hope that the army will not have much of a role.
All right. Well, I have that brings me to many more questions. Bear with me. I have to take a short break. मुझे एक छोटा सा वक्फा यहाँ पे लेना है, मगर बात ये भी हो रही है कि जो इंखला है बांग्लादेश में, अब उसको पुर कौन करेगा? जो खुशी कबीर है, उन्होंने बात की कि जो वहाँ पे तुलबा हैं, वो ये कहते हैं कि जी आर्मी रूल नहीं होना चाहिए. तो फिर यहाँ पे जो अवामी लीग है, क्या उनको अगले इलेक्शंस में इजाज़त होगी कि वो इलेक्शंस के अंदर हिस्सा लें? और दूसरी बात ये कि जो मजहबी जमातें हैं, क्या इस बार वो हुकूमत में आएंगी या खालिदा जिया की पार्टी आएगी? ये भी एक अहम सवाल है. वक्फा लेते हैं, वक्फे के बाद फिर बात करते हैं. वेलकम बैक नाजरीन. बांग्लादेश की सूरत हाल के ऊपर हम बात कर रहे हैं. हमारे साथ हैं ढाका से शाहिदुल आलम साहब, जो सीनियर बांग्लादेशी इनाम याफ्ता सहाफ़ी हैं. खुशी कबीर साहिबा जो है हमें ढाका से ज्वाइन कर रही हैं, समाजी रहनुमा हैं बांग्लादेश की, और वहाँ अक़लियतों के हकूक़ के लिए एक मजबूत आवाज़ हैं. Shahidullah, just going towards you first, I mean asking you the first question. The big question really is that how come the army did not declare martial law?
I think the army realizes that it's completely been taken over by this popular movement. I mean, this was a youth-led movement. They did, in fact, try and suppress it very, very brutally, and they failed. The sad thing is a lot of people gave their lives, but at the end of the day, the army now is no longer in control.
And is this movement united? Is this a united movement? Because we are getting reports that the students are not really united, that there are different factions.
No, I disagree. I think the students are, it's not led by a single leader, which is how other movements have taken place. It's a very decentralized movement. There are a large number of what they call coordinators, but no, it's been a spontaneous movement. It's been, and in a sense, it's part of its strength is the fact that it's so decentralized, which has made it more difficult. I mean, in the past, the government has managed to pick off the leaders, and they tried this in this case as well. It didn't work. And I think it's quite a mature group of young people who've done this, and the military knows that, you know, should they not obey the rules, they may come back to the streets. And I think the military's learnt its lessons.
Right, but Khushi Kabir, is this good for democracy that the students should be dictating what should happen next in Bangladesh? Does this concern you in any way?
No, it concerns me in the sense if we see that what they are dictating is something that is not leading to a kind of a peace and a kind of a situation when the nation is able to rebuild itself. You know, as Shahidul mentioned, and this is true, that this has been, you know, when you have a party in power without any opposition, I think a democracy without an opposition is not a democracy. So if you have been in power for over 15 years without any opposition, so there's no one to question you, you become autocratic, it becomes quite a tyrannical government. And this is what has happened. And I think that is what happened in this movement also. The movement came out with a quite innocuous, a very movement about having enough seats in the government, you know, the quota reform system.
Right.
So there the kind of support that they got from the entire people and public from across the country was something that the government, Awami League, was totally taken unaware of, because the Awami League by now had become totally divorced from the people themselves. They had no idea of what the popular appeal was. They had never sat with civil society or other members of society to try and get an actual picture of what is happening in the country.
Right.
Plus, you talk about inflation, you talk about, you know, price spirals, you talk about the economy going down. So people are frustrated. And here was a group of youngsters who were out in the streets and bringing about and asking for change.
Right.
And I think I'll answer your question about why the army didn't declare martial law. I think if the army declared martial law over here, the mood of the students was such this would not have worked. And the army would have become very unpopular. You also have to understand that our army depends a lot on their role as UN peacekeepers. They cannot take a role of being a martial law administrator that would jeopardize their role as the UN peacekeepers.
Well, that's a very, very good point. Allow me to ask this question to Shahidul Alam Saab. Well, another thing that the Indian Foreign Minister said, he said that it cannot be ruled out that there was a foreign hand. You are sitting on the ground in Dhaka. Do you feel that there was a foreign hand in this movement?
I think there's been a foreign hand in Bangladesh for a very long time, and that foreign hand is India. It's been Big Brother. It's been hugely, it tampered with Bangladeshi politics for a very long time. It's propped up a regime which has stayed on after 3 elections which were non-elections. And I think when you consider the role that India played in 1971, India should have been a friend. And we want India and Pakistan and all our neighbors to be friends. But India has behaved despicably with all its neighbors and certainly with Bangladesh. And now India's in a situation where it's lost the only friend it had in South Asia. So for India to be saying this, and also for India to be talking about radicalization and Islamization, given that India is the nation that it is, and the way it has been behaving, certainly during the Modi regime, is ridiculous.
Right. Khushi Kabir, do you agree?
Well, I'll just say that India has played a heavy role. There have been other governments, but I will just say one thing in favor of Sheikh Hasina, that when the World Bank pulled out from the bridge, the Padma Bridge, Sheikh Hasina managed to negotiate loans and funds from China. So whereas she is, it's an unequal relationship with India. India is very big on 3 sides.
Right.
And I will say the negotiations she's done with India have shown that she's much more subservient than she should be.
Right.
A negotiation is good and it's when you are on equal par. And with India, we are not on equal par, unfortunately. But though we've been making...
But coming back to Bangladesh and what's going to happen there next, I mean, people are worried. People want to know what's going to happen next. Are you expecting more reprisal killings? Or do you think there's going to be calm where you're sitting? Are you seeing things go back to normalcy?
We are just hoping that once the caretaker government comes over, Dr. Yunus has been hounded by Sheikh Hasina on a personal level.
Yes.
The number of cases against him, etc. And petty things that they did, like stopping him from
Right.
getting on the lift to get onto the 8th floor of the court.
Right.
So I hope he's much bigger, that he's much bigger than that, and he will not look at anything on a personal level. So he would allow and take on the responsibility. And I think I have total trust and faith in him. He will take on the responsibility of bringing back the country to a situation through which the country can move on and an election can take place. Whether Awami League will come or not come to elections will depend both on the situation on the ground as well as on Awami League itself, whether they can
All right.
build themselves together.
All right.
I would just say one thing, that the one policy that I hope the government will continue is a policy that will keep itself open, and not just to the US World Bank policy, not just to the India policy, but seeing what is the best for them and take on whichever policy. There may be China, it may be
Right.
from other
Right.
places. So that's something.
राइट तो नाज़रीन, आपको ये भी हम बताते चले जाएं कि कुछ ही देर पहले खालिदा ज़िया जो हैं, जो बांग्लादेश में अपोजिशन लीडर थीं और उनको कई अरसे से जो है हसीना वाजिद साहिबा ने हिरासत में रखा हुआ था, कई चार्जेस थे उनके ऊपर, करप्शन के चार्जेस थे, उनको रिलीज़ कर दिया गया है। और उनकी हाल ही में ये स्टेटमेंट आई, उन्होंने कहा है कि गुस्सा और बदला नहीं बल्कि प्यार और अमन बांग्लादेश को फिर से तामीर करेगा। हमारे साथ ही रहिएगा, बहुत ही दिलचस्प गुफ्तगू हो रही है बांग्लादेश के हालात के ऊपर। हमने बराह रास्त आपको ढाका से जोड़ा हुआ है। वक्फा लेते हैं, वक्फे के बाद फिर से हाजिर होते हैं। वेलकम बैक नाजरीन, हम ढाका से बराह रास्त जुड़े हुए हैं और हमने सवाल रखा हुआ है कि बांग्लादेश अब किस सिमत में जाएगा। हमारे साथ शाहिदुल आलम साहब हैं, सीनियर बांग्लादेशी इनाम याफ्ता सहाफ़ी हैं, खुशी कबीर हैं, समाजी रहनुमा हैं और बांग्लादेश में अक़लियतों के हकूक़ के लिए एक मजबूत आवाज़ हैं। सो शाहिदुल आलम साहब, वेरी वेरी ब्रीफली, what does the future hold for Bangladesh? Are you expecting reprisal killings or are you expecting calm? And are you expecting elections soon through this interim government led by Professor Yunus? Or more influence of the military?
We don't have a government yet. Hopefully it will begin tomorrow. And it's premature to say exactly what will happen. But I have faith in the people. I have faith in the people of Bangladesh, and I have faith in the people who will be leading Bangladesh. And I certainly expect that the retribution and the violence that we're currently having will die down very soon. It has to happen for this nation to go ahead. It would be stupid for the military to be adventurous, and I certainly hope they've learned their lessons and they will stand back. I also hope that we can have enough peace and stability and elections can take place soon. But I think we're in a situation where even if they take a little bit longer than it might normally be, people will be accepting that because that is this mood of the country at the moment.
And will there be a
Certainly,
rise
we will
in
have a
will the
by-election.
Jamaat Islami now be elected, you think, or will there be a rise in the Jamaat Islami popularity?
I wouldn't have thought so. I think the Jamaat always, it has had a popular base which is quite tiny but faithful, and that will probably remain. No, I would rather hope that this would be a sea change in terms of youth coming in terms of a more egalitarian process, and a much more pluralistic
All right.
political structure where
I'd like to.
Yes, just the last
I'd
word.
like
two
to come in
parties
here.
will not
Yes.
be dominating in the same way.
Ye-
Bangladesh has never given into.
Yes, just the last word, Khushi Kabir.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm not as strongly in the same position as Shahidul. I fear, because what I see immediately after what has happened is that the Jamaat may be getting a much stronger hold, the way the Jamaat leaders and all have been behaving as if they have won. It's not the movement and it's not something that it's the youth's victory. The way the Jamaat is moving and the way they're acting and the way they're being brought to the discussion tables by the army chief and by the president is worrying to me. And
All
I
right.
hope this is something that the people will reject, but I'm not sure.
Well,
Religion is very difficult.
Yes, well, thank you very much for joining us, Khushi Kabir and Shahidul Alam. I know also you were very busy. This is a very busy time for both of you. So thank you so much for joining us from Dhaka and telling us about the situation there. तो नाजरीन, दोनों जो हमारे मेहमान थे उनके बिल्कुल फ़र्क किस्म के ओपिनियंस थे, वो हम आपके लिए आपके सामने लेके आए। ढाका से हमने बराह रास्त जो है अपने दोनों मेहमानों से बात की। एक जो है इनाम याफ्ता सहाफ़ी और खुशी कबीर जो एक बहुत जानी मानी समाजी कारकुन है। खुशी कबीर का ये कहना था कि फ़ौज ने, बांग्लादेशी फ़ौज ने वहाँ पे बांग्लादेश में मार्शल लॉ डिक्लेयर इसलिए नहीं किया क्योंकि अगर वो करते तो वो ख़ासे अनपॉपुलर हो जाते। इस वक्त जो तुलबा हैं, जो मूवमेंट वहाँ पे लीड कर रहे हैं, वो चाहते हैं कि वहाँ पे इंतखाबात जल्द अज जल्द हो। शायद यही वजह है कि बांग्लादेश के अंदर फ़ौज ने मार्शल लॉ डिक्लेयर नहीं किया। और दोनों का ये कहना था, खुशी कबीर का और शाहिदुल आलम का, कि वो चाहते हैं कि ये अबूरी हुकूमत जो प्रोफेसर मोहम्मद यूनुस लीड कर रहे हैं वो जल्द अज जल्द इलेक्शन करवाए। और यही एक मांग है, एक ख्वाहिश है तुलबा की जो इस वक्त सड़कों पे ढाका में और दीगर शहरों में बैठे हुए हैं। उनकी यही मांग है। ये भी शाहिदुल आलम साहब का कहना था कि एक ही बैरूनी हाथ है जो बांग्लादेश में रहा है और वो हिंदुस्तान का रहा है। ये उन्होंने बड़े वाज़े तौर पे कह दिया। और खुशी कबीर का ये कहना था कि ऐसा लगता है कि अब जब इलेक्शंस होंगे तो उसके अंदर अवामी लीग को जगह नहीं दी जाएगी, बल्कि जमाते इस्लामी जो है वो सामने उभर के आएगी, वो ज़्यादा पॉपुलर होगी। हम आपके लिए ये दो मुनफरद राय जो है, ओपिनियन जो है और इन्फॉर्मेशन जो है हम ढाका से बराह रास्त आपके लिए लेके आए थे। उम्मीद है आपको प्रोग्राम पसंद आया होगा। मुनीज़ा जहांगीर को इजाज़त दीजिए। खुदा हाफ़िज़।